Wednesday, April 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the proposed tourism workers' pension scheme will be discussed by the Legislation Committee of Cabinet today. The pension scheme is designed to provide retirement benefits for all industry workers, whether they are permanent, contracted, or self-employed. Hotel workers, tour operators, contract carriage operators, among others, will be eligible for benefits that will be payable at age 65 and older. Minister Bartlett expressed confidence that the scheme will be approved by Cabinet following today's deliberations. The minister made the disclosure while addressing the Tourism Service Excellence Awards held at the Montego Bay Conference Center in St. James on Saturday. Permanent Secretary in the Energy Ministry, Carol Palmer, says she has been having difficulties trying to get information on questionable donations made by Petrojam to various organizations. Questions about the donations were raised in the Auditor General report, which found that at least one citizens association to which a $9 million donation was made was not registered. Petrojam officials told the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, on Tuesday that the information on the donations had been sent to the Permanent Secretary via email. However, Mrs. Palmer had a different take on the progress so far.
And I am saying again, Chairman and members, despite my requests for the information on donations, I am yet to be provided with it. And unless I don't have the ability, I had a meeting with the representatives from MOCA last week to apprise myself of what is happening there, because you have to figure out how you're going to get information if it's not being supplied to you. And I am to receive a letter from them because they are having their own challenges as well, and to see how I can assist the investigation.
Yes, It was reported that the $9 million donation was made to the Citizens Association after another association allegedly said it no longer needed the money. The first association has since declared that it did not write the letter refusing the donation. PAC member Peter Bunting said he was concerned that despite the Auditor General's report highlighting evidence of fraud, it appeared the Public Accounts Appropriations Committee was doing nothing to recover the funds, but admitted to legal prohibition.
That after all we've been through in the last 9 months, that the new permanent secretary, who has clearly, set out to do a diligent, thorough investigation, is being stonewalled by the board and management of Petrojam. At this stage, 9 months later, this is absolutely unacceptable.
Development Bank of Jamaica DBJ program initiatives for 2019-2020 is projected to facilitate engagements targeting 220 new companies and investments totaling some $26.4 billion. According to the 2019-2020 Jamaica Public Bodies estimates of revenue and expenditure, the entity's activities are expected to yield loan disbursements totaling $7.6 billion, as against $3.8 billion for the just concluded financial year. The entity said the 2019-2020 initiatives are consistent with its continued focus on aligning its activities with the government's economic growth targets. As such, it will focus on developing an entrepreneurial ecosystem, correcting market failures in the financial sector, divesting government assets, and facilitating public-private partnerships. Specifically, the DBJ said it will seek to improve the number of loans provided to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises through financial and non-financial products, as well as policy advocacy. The DBJ forecasts a net operational surplus of $412 million, nearly doubling the $238.1 million generated in 2018-2019. Members of the diaspora have until May 2019 to give their feedback on the National Diaspora Policy, now published on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kamina Johnson-Smith, made the disclosure speaking at the launch of the 8th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel yesterday. The theme for the conference is Jamaica and the Diaspora, Building Pathways for Sustainable Development. Minister Johnson-Smith assured attendees that the government is committed to the completion of the policy, which works hand in hand with the country's Vision 2030 as well as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The policy also focuses on the rights of diaspora members, and as such, the publication of its draft encourages public discourse.
It has benefited from improvements distilled from prior consultations, feedback on the previous draft, as well as consideration of the Economic Growth Council's initiatives and guidance provided in its call to action. In addition, this draft policy has benefited from the adoption of the National Migration and Development Policy, and so its development and content is well aligned.
The Foreign Affairs Minister said she will be leading focus groups in some cities where large groups of the Jamaican diaspora reside.
Your feedback will enrich the final outcome. More specifically, I'm asking you to send your feedback in writing to diasporapolicy@mfaft.gov.jm. Let me say that again, and Ms. Fleming, of course, I'm well trained now. diasporapolicy@mfaft.gov.jm by Friday, May 17th, 2019.
Minister Johnson-Smith says it will inform the final document set to be completed as part of the conference's outcome in June, after which it will be presented to Cabinet and Parliament for its implementation. The 8th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference will be held June 16 to 20 at the Jamaica Conference Center. The Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, yesterday launched a new initiative aimed at providing the immunization community with clear, proven strategies for improving the quality and use of immunization data. PAHO said it launched the new initiative titled Immunization Data Evidence for Action with the global organization, PATH, which works to accelerate health equity by bringing together public institutions, businesses, and social enterprises. PAHO said while advances in information technology have led to continuous increases in the amount of health data available, data remains an underutilized resource in the design and implementation of immunization programs throughout the world. The IDEA Review is being launched this week in conjunction with the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization meeting being held in Geneva, Switzerland. The Montego Bay business community is appealing to the government and the leadership of the security forces to move swiftly to address the high levels of lawlessness in St. James. Winston Lawson, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, made the call while addressing members of the local Chinese business community at the Fujian Association of Jamaica's annual meeting on the weekend. Lawson, who is a banker, said the current wave of crime is having a devastating impact on members of the business community, who he said are not naive to believe that the security forces alone can bring about a quick fix to crime. And so he called for other local businesses to play their part. After 7 years at the ATL Group of Companies, Danville Walker has decided to move on and pursue other interests. Mr. Walker, who was managing director of the Jamaica Observer and Appliance Traders Limited, met with staff Monday and told them of his decision. Walker said he was proud to have been at the helm of the Observer when it celebrated its 25th anniversary last year, March, and encouraged the newspaper to continue its tradition of highlighting issues of national importance as well as preserving Jamaica's democracy. The US dollar on Tuesday, April 2, ended trading at Jamaican $127.58, up by $1.99. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $97.03, up from $94.32, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $164.30, up from $163.38. In regional news, 4 members of Guyana's government have resigned owing to the fact that they are dual citizens. We have more in this report.
On March 22, the appeal court upheld a ruling made by the High Court that those who hold dual citizenship are not qualified to be members of Parliament. On Tuesday, the government said by virtue of the ruling, President David Granger has received and accepted the resignation of all coalition members of Parliament who are holders of dual citizenship. These members, Minister of State Joseph Harmon, Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenwich, Minister of Public Service Rupert Rupnerine, and Minister of Business Dominic Gaskin, will not be returning to Parliament, therefore, when it reconvenes on April 11, 2019. Minister Harmon is a U.S. citizen, while Ministers Gaskin, Greenwich, and Rupnerine are UK citizens. However, the government statement did not clarify whether the officials will be giving up their ministerial post as is required by the Constitution of Guyana. But former Attorney General Anil Nandlal told Newsroom that the 4 coalition members have no choice but to also resign as ministers of government.
You become elected to the National Assembly first, and you become a minister second. As a minister, you are required to answer to the National Assembly, which by extension is the people of Guyana.
According to the Article 183 of the Constitution, the office of any minister shall become vacant if that person ceases to be a member of the National Assembly for any cause other than the dissolution of Parliament. Nandlal pointed also that the ministers cannot choose to retain their post as technocrat ministers.
Technocratic ministers are not supposed to be elected members of the National Assembly. They are not elected from a list of candidates. They are appointed by the president from outside, and they sit in the Parliament by virtue of their appointment as ministers by the president. But again, they have to sit in the Parliament, and that demonstrates or illustrates the fact that you cannot be a minister and not be in the Parliament.
Further, Nandlal explained that in order for them to be replaced in the National Assembly, the leader of the list of candidates submitted prior to the 2015 general and regional elections will be required to inform the Chief Elections Officer of the need to extract 4 members from that list. Thereafter, the Clerk of the National Assembly will be informed of the new members. The opposition People's Progressive Party, of which Nandlal is a member, also has dual citizens, those being Chief Whip Gilda Shearer, Odinga Lumumba, and Adrian Anamaya.
In Barbados, the Barbados government has announced a 1-week gun amnesty in an attempt to reduce the number of illegal guns in the country. This announcement came from the Attorney General, Dale Marshall. Here are the details.
And I announce today that after this legislation is passed in all of its stages and becomes law later in the week, a gun amnesty will be offered to Barbadians. You have a week. A week, sir. Anybody who has in their possession an unlawful firearm or ammunition, the amnesty runs from Sunday 7th of April 2019 until Saturday 13th April 2019 at midnight. At midnight, sir, gloves are off. This amnesty, for the avoidance of doubt, relates to firearms, parts of firearms, and ammunition, sir. Somebody once said to me that a gun without a bullet is just a hammer. Well, sir, we want the hammers and we want the nails.
sports. Jamaica became the first Caribbean country to get an opportunity to host the CONCACAF Gold Cup tournament. The Reggae Boys will play in Group C of the region's top competition, with the National Stadium announced as the host venue for a double-header on June 17, 2019. CONCACAF President Victor Montigliani made the announcement at a press conference at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on Tuesday. The Jamaicans will face either the group's seeded team, Honduras, or one of the other two teams that will be selected for the group at next Tuesday's draw. And now to cricket. Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said he had a more optimistic outlook on West Indies cricket following the election of Ricky Skerritt and Dr. Kishore Shallow as President and Vice President respectively of the sport's regional governing body, Cricket West Indies. Dr. Rowley warned, however, that there was plenty work ahead for the Skerritt-led administration for the Windies to avoid being relegated to the second tier of the game.
What was happening to West Indies cricket is that we were not able to put that ladder down in that pit to climb out of it. And I'm hoping now that Skerritt provides that ladder so that we can climb out of where we are. Because the danger we're facing is that one of these days, the ICC is going to create two divisions of cricket.
And that is a possibility that will exist.
There's so much cricket being played now and being played well in the non-traditional areas that we cannot continue to have a C-class horse running an A-class race. The ICC is going to create two divisions of cricket, and West Indies may not find itself in the upper echelons of Test cricket.
And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Pleasant viewing.